Colin Bell, you're very welcome to the conversation. Tell me about Kevin and why you set up this trust.
Kevin was a young lad, 26-year-old, loved life, enjoyed travel. He had been in Australia, he'd been in Thailand, and he just enjoyed travel, and he had gone to New York. He had only been there 10 years. He was loving life. He enjoyed everything about New York. Kevin was a big character, but everything about New York is big, so he really was enjoying himself. He went out on a Saturday evening for a few pints, got a taxi home, got outside, got out of the taxi, and was struck by a speeding white van, and it put him onto the road where he was struck by another vehicle, and both vehicles drove off. And I suppose mercifully Kevin would have known nothing about it, but when news broke in Newry that Kevin had been killed, we would be a particularly well-known family in Newry, in that in education. My father and my mother both were teachers in Newry. I taught for 40 years in Newry, in drama, ethna, and was a singer. She's in all the choirs, she's in all the drama societies, particularly well known as well. Her parents, her father was a founder of the credit union, her mother was president of Newry Fesh. And also in sport, because I myself played a lot of football, Gaelic and soccer, and would have been world famous in Newry for sport. So I suppose, and another reason why the family would be well known is that myself and Ethel got married, and 10 months later we had twins, Sean and Ciara. 13 months later we had twins, Kevin and Brendan, and then we had Eamon, Connor and Maeve. So we had 7 children under the age of 6. So everybody would have known who the Bells were. So when news broke that Kevin had been killed, the town went into a frenzy of fundraising to bring Kevin home.
And how did you hear about the tragic news that night?
Well, it was Sunday morning. Kevin was killed at 3:15 in New York time. So that would have been about 8:15 in Newry time. Now, Kevin had gone out to a friend of his, Seamus Toner, in New York. Seamus heard that Kevin had been killed, and he contacted his parents and said, look, get up to the Bells and let them know sooner than getting a cold call from New York. So Vincent and Caroline came up and were forever grateful that they did. I mean, it was a very hard thing for them to do, but that's how we learned.
And how on earth did you get through those terrible few days, those initial?
Well, the fact of the matter is, we have taken over 2,000 loved ones home from all over the world, but there was never a repatriation ever was as quick as Kevin's. Because, as I say, Kevin was killed on Sunday morning. His post-mortem took place on Sunday afternoon. Ethna's cousin, Nasa, she lived in Manhattan. She knew a lot of people, and she went round on Monday afternoon and got all paperwork done. And Kevin's body was released to the undertaker on the Monday, and he was on the plane to us on Tuesday night and in our home on Wednesday. And as I say, in over 2,000 repatriations, there has never been one as quick.
And when Kevin came home, it was obvious that Newry too had lost a son, with the reaction to the news that broke.
Yeah, I mean, I can only describe it as Newry came around us like a blanket. There, as I say, there were fundraisers, and it was just absolutely amazing. And there were, in the space of a week, there was £150,000 raised to bring Kevin home.
And even during that time, that obviously you dealing with the shock of it, Colin, and dealing with the whole bereavement. Yet, you yourself and Ethna went up to the Clifford family in Belfast. That their poor son Stephen had been killed in Thailand, but in your own mourning, like you went up to help them.
Well, we didn't actually go up. What actually happened was because there was so much money raised to bring Kevin home. A week after Kevin's funeral, we read about young Stephen being killed in Thailand. So we didn't actually go up to them, but we contacted the family and said, look, we have this money, we'll pay to bring your son home. Then the following week there was a young man from Sligo who died in Las Vegas. So again, we reached out to their family, and we thought, because we had £150,000, which wasn't ours, we thought we would use this £150,000 to help other families who were visited with the same devastation.
Yeah, that's simply amazing. Obviously, in those circumstances, like, what a relief and what a consolation, for those families to be able to get their loved ones back. Tell me, how do you actually reach out to them, or how do they become aware that you're there? Like, obviously, with 2,000 bodies brought back at this stage, it's just amazing.
Well, as I say, because we were doing this, we thought once the £150,000 was gone, that would be the end of it. But there was a young fellow from Castlewellan in County Down here who had been killed in Perth the year before, and his parents had heard that we were doing this, and they had something in the region of £75,000. So they came to us and gave us the £75,000 to continue our work. Then people started to send us money to continue our work. So then we decided that we would make this Kevin's legacy. So we applied for charitable status in Northern Ireland and also in the Republic of Ireland, and we got that. Then we had a meeting with the then Minister for the Diaspora down south, Jimmy Deanahan, after which all embassies and consulates, Irish embassies and consulates in the world, were given our number. So now if anybody contacts the Department of Foreign Affairs in Dublin, when they get the shocking news of the loss of a loved one, then they will be given our number, and then they will contact us.
And the repatriation process, it's complicated, I'm sure, and is it costly?
It can be costly. To take somebody from Australia, for example, could cost maybe £8,000 or £9,000. To take somebody from Europe is generally in the region of £5,000 to £6,000. America could be anything up to £10,000 or more even, depending on what part of America. But the actual process, because we're now going 11 years, we have contacts in most major cities in the world, and we have our preferred undertakers, for example, in Sydney or in New York or in Spain. So once a family contacts us, we are able to contact our preferred undertakers, and they will actually get the body released, get the paper, go to the courts, get the paperwork done, and repatriate. And we, of course, will pay for it.
And the interesting thing about the work that you do, whilst the finance seems to be the big issue, I know from the research and the investigation we have done and all the different wonderful aspects of your work, it's the expert advice, the guidance and the helping hand that the families receive in trying to get their loved ones back. That's the real wealth.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, if you get a cold call, told that you've lost a son or a daughter in Sydney, for example, what do you do? Who do you turn to? You know, how do you go about getting your loved one home? And that's, I think, probably the biggest part of the work that we do, because when a family does contact us, we're able to say, look, we'll take it from here. You don't have to do anything. We'll organise it and we'll get your loved one home.
And I think that's one of the things, Colin, I wanted to emphasise strongly in this programme. You know, some people in listening to, you know, this programme or just watching it may just assume it's a simple act of you know, repatriation. But it's much more than that, isn't it? Because obviously one of the corporal works of mercy is to bury the dead. And the spiritual works of mercy ask us to comfort the sorrowful, which you're so wonderfully doing, to counsel the doubtful, like people in those situations. Like when you hear that news, it's obviously devastating. So, you know, comforting the sorrowful, consoling the doubtful, consoling the sorrowful rather, and comforting the doubtful, counselling them. Like that's a very, very strong aspect of your work that I see.
Well, it is, as I say. I mean, when you get, it doesn't matter if you're at home or abroad, loss is loss, and pain is pain. But particularly Irish people want their loved ones home. They want to be able to give them away. To see them is most important. It was very, very important to us. I remember even in our own case, when Kevin came home, when his coffin was carried into the house, the sense of peace that came with, he was home. And that was so important to us, especially his mummy. Mummy was able to hold his hand and speak to him. And so, I mean, it probably is an Irish thing, but it's so important to get your loved one home.
Colin, we're going to take a break just now, and we'll see you back in a few minutes when we will hear more about the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust. Welcome back to The Conversation, where in this episode we are speaking with Colin Bell from the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust. Tell me, you've described the work sometimes as being therapeutic and it keeps Kevin's name alive. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, well, as I said, Kevin was a character. Kevin was full of life, and so he was such a loss to us. And so, with this opportunity, Kevin always said that he would be famous. Now, we would have thought he could have been infamous because he was a devil for crack and for enjoying life. And so the Kevin is in a way famous now because his name is mentioned throughout the world with regard to repatriation. So therapeutic, yes, because I mean, how could you not be pleased when you're helping families on a daily basis? I know at the time of Kevin's death, I mean, the emotion, the pain was terrible. But I think at the time, I mean, I didn't try to be a strong man. I let it go. If I felt like crying, and which I did very, very often, I let it go. And I believe that did me a lot of good. It didn't build up in me, as I say, I let it go. And it gives, because of that, if I'm talking to a family, well, I know exactly what they're going through. And our whole family have empathy with families that receive news like that there, and especially in the early stages. And we've become so friendly with so many families. It's not just a question of helping a family and next. No, because we do keep in touch with families. We become very, very friendly with families, and we've been to weddings, family weddings of relatives of people that we brought home. So it is, yes, I would say it is therapeutic for me.
And there's been some amazing, stories from families that you've helped. Just so many. One that particularly sticks out for me is the family from Belfast, where in their distress and tragic situation, they reached out to you, and I may as well quote it here exactly. He said, all I had to do was to give Colin the details, and Heather was on a flight home to Belfast the following morning.
Yes.
So, but is there a particular story, particular experience that sticks out for you out of the 2,000 repatriation that you've managed?
I wouldn't say there's a particular one that would stand out. I would really have to think about that. I think every person has a story. But I know, as I said, we were very friendly with the families. And one particularly family in Oma, there's a young fellow, Joe McDermott. He was called Hoss. And the reason why it sticks out is because Joe was killed in a building site in Perth. And the fact was that my own son, Eamon, was who does actually live in Perth at the moment, but he was actually working on the same building site a week before. And but as I say, we brought Joe home, and because of that, we have developed a fantastic relationship with Joe's parents and his sibling, and but I mean that isn't unusual, because we do make friends and for life, because I suppose these people are in a club that they would prefer not to be in, but that's life. Generally, I'll be in the office about quarter to 9 in the morning. There'll be, if there are ongoing repatriations, and there always are, because I mean there's always 3 or 4 going on at a time, and we'll contact our sources or to get updates so that we can keep the family updated, and then we would do any correspondence or but of course then you'll be getting telephone calls throughout the morning, and just people who are looking for help or whatever. Generally, I could be at a check presentation any evening, but mostly check presentations, because I will travel the length and breadth of Ireland. I mean, I could be in Cork on a Saturday, or I could be in Galway, or I could be. So I mean, it's a kind of a 24-hour job, but between office, between repatriations, between check presentations, it is full on, really.
And you were saying earlier that the major embassies across the world, i.e. the embassies associated with the major cities, are aware of the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust.
Oh, absolutely.
How does that work?
Well, that came about whenever we became a charity, and the Department of Foreign Affairs actually probably became aware of us before we realised. So what happens is, if a family rings the Department of Foreign Affairs, because in that moment, I mean, where do you turn? So you ring the embassy, or you ring the Department of Foreign Affairs in Dublin. So, and then they will be given any consular advice or whatever, and then they'll be given our number, and told to contact us, because strangely enough, as far as I know, we are the only repatriation charity in the world. You know, so, and I suppose we're doing, as I say, a lot of work that it's taken pressure off embassies and stuff, because we're a kind of a get out of jail free card, you know.
That's astonishing, known by all those embassies throughout the world. And I understand as well that you've received accolades and awards from various governments. Obviously, the governments of Ireland and Britain, United Kingdom, with Theresa May and Micheál Martin.
Yes, we've thanks. We've received. Micheál Martin hosted a lunch for us to mark Kevin's 10 years since Kevin's death, and presented us with a lovely sculpture, and of course we've contact as well from the UK. So, I mean, we're not there for accolades or whatever. We're just there to help people. But it's nice when you're recognised.
Mm-hmm. Colin, you yourself were a big sportsman in soccer and in Gaelic football, and Kevin himself, played football. I understand that the GAA here in Ireland, the Gaelic Athletic Association, has a special jersey for Kevin.
Well, it's not a GAA jersey. It's actually we initiated this ourselves, and the jersey it's the Kevin Bell on it. There's the logo. The logo is a bird, because actually Kevin, when the last Christmas before Kevin went away, because we are such a big family, we Kris Kringle, and Kevin got his mummy and the last present that he actually got her was a bird table, and this particular bird comes, and as Ethna says herself, birds come home to nest or to roost, and but the jersey itself, we had it made sort of to publicise, but now, I mean, there are people all over the world wearing the Kevin Bell's jerseys, and it's nice to see. It's not a jersey that was made for profit. It was just made to more or less publicise the charity.
And what do you think Kevin would have made of all this amazing work done in his name?
Kevin himself, I'd say, big character, loved life, and always said that he would be famous. So in a way, his name is out there and it's well known throughout the world. So in a way, he is famous, and I'm sure he'd be very pleased with that fact.
There's a wonderful adage by St. Therese of the Child Jesus. She said she would spend her heaven doing good on earth. So on behalf of the community here in Newry, Ireland, and for all those families that got their loved ones repatriated, I just wanted to thank you, Colin, in the memory of your son, for doing so much wonderful work and for doing that good here on earth for all these people.
Very much, Aidan. Appreciate that.
That's it for this episode of The Conversation. Please join us next time when again I'll be speaking with people involved in amazing ministries here in Ireland and beyond.